You specifically went up like, hey, can you smell this cucumber?
Well, no, because I've been.
Craig, smell this for me. I need some.
Does this
I need
have
a
a
second.
distinct odor?
I've just been around a lot of cucumbers. Okay,
Whoa.
I just know.
Okay, I want to hear this story. How do
Tell
you get
me
around
more.
that?
We recently watched a show with cucumbers in it.
Okay, not in that sense. We're not talking about those cucumbers. We're talking about actual cucumbers.
きっと約束だよいつかまた同じ笑顔で
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 106 of the Annie Chat Box, where 5 friends snuggle up into a teeny tiny space to talk about all things anime. Today, I'm Dominic, your main host, and today I have Craig, all the way in the other room.
What's
in
up?
the living room.
What's up, Internet? How's it going?
And all the way across the ocean in England, we have John.
Hello, everyone.
And for today, we have a guest host with us. We have Zach down in California.
I traveled across the wastelands that is the California deserts to be here to talk about puppets.
It really is a wasteland.
He killed a dragon along the way.
Yep,
Fuck.
climbed many a mountain.
You're badass, man.
I mean, you know, all for the sake to talk about puppet shows.
Puppets. And today we will be, before we talk about our puppet show, we wanted to talk about anime and media, or not anime, but media that's, as Zach puts it, adjacent to anime. Anime adjacent media and fandom. And what that means is basically not anime. I keep saying it's anime, but it's not anime. Basically media that is enough like anime that people who are already into anime would probably benefit from checking out, or just is similar enough in tone and that it, it might as well be anime.
There's
like
subgenres of anime, essentially.
Yeah, but it's, generally not animated,
Yeah.
like
this puppet show.
Yeah, like this puppet show. It's a puppet show. It's not animated, which we'll talk about in a bit. But
Might as well be anime.
it won't be anime. Anime Janai.
Anime Janai.
I regret being here already.
No, you don't.
I'm gonna actually, since it's Zach made the initial pitch for this.
Don't fucking do this.
Topic. This main topic. I'm gonna throw it over to him and have him start.
Throw him under the bus.
Yeah,
this is why I don't. This is don't like I like participating in things. People throw me under the bus like this.
It's time to participate, Zach.
I don't. Can you just give me my award and move on?
No,
you have to give a victory speech.
We don't give out gold stars for free here. Okay.
Whoa.
You have to.
What about smelly stickers?
What kind of smelly stickers?
I don't know. What kind do you have?
We have orange, and we have grape, and we have
cucumber.
Why cucumber?
I don't know.
Cucumber?
It just seemed like a thing that would be pretty pointless to have a smelly sticker. They don't
a cucumber? Would it be like? I don't know. I don't even know what a cucumber smells like off the top of my head.
It doesn't have.
It doesn't really have a smell.
Yeah, that's why.
Because I always think of like cucumber salads you order from restaurants, and it's more covered in like vinegar.
Yeah, that's like the stuff they put on it, but the cucumber itself doesn't really have a smell. I know, I get them at Subway all the time. They don't have a smell. Craig can confirm.
Yeah.
You specifically went up like, hey, can you smell this cucumber?
Well, no, because I've been.
Craig, smell this for me. I need some.
Does this have a distinct odor?
I've just been around a lot of cucumbers. Okay,
Whoa.
I just know.
Okay, I want to hear this story. How do you get around that?
We recently watched a show with cucumbers in it.
Okay, not in that sense. We're not talking about those cucumbers. We're talking about actual cucumbers. Anyways, I think we're getting off topic. We're talking about
I feel like we're pretty on topic.
And cucumbers and not anime adjacent media. Okay?
I mean,
are you sure?
All right, Zach. Zach,
as far as you know.
you need to lead. You need to lead us.
I mean,
Because I've passed the torch on to you, so now it's
okay,
your fucking job.
right. Okay, sure. Well, well, I came up with when Craig was asking what a topic idea, I was just anime adjacent things, because this show is like, I don't know, Riley. What the show we're going to be talking about is a show that's widely watched among the anime community. But even though it's not a typical anime. So I figured talk about. I know we're all interested in other things, shows that kind of like fall into those subgenres. Like tokusatsu is a big thing in our group for most of us,
Yes.
at least the people here in this room right now talking.
Yeah.
In this cyberspace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The only ones who would allow this kind of conversation to actually go on in the first place.
Yes.
If the other two were here, this would never happen. But yes,
We like to talk about men in spandex punching each other.
yes.
Punching
and
particularly.
rubber suits.
Yep.
Like for me, I started getting to tokusatsu, specifically Kamen Rider fandom, around after I graduated high school. I think I coming across like clips on YouTube. I don't know how I got to it from A to B, but I somehow got there, and I was looking at the suits for Kamen Rider Kabuto, and I was watching the transformation sequences of the Kamen Rider Kabuto suits, and I thought that was the coolest fucking shit.
Kabuto is really cool.
I mean,
Man who
Kabuto,
defied God.
he's a man who I thought was Wakamon God.
I thought he did.
Something
Dom, you
about
watched
God.
it more recently. Did he defy or did he walk along God?
He was a god. He's just
he basically like became God, or he walked. I love Kabuto. Like with all of like I think about Kabuto like all the time. I don't remember the ending.
So much like the show we're going to be talking
I remember
about.
there's
it's
a
all
bunch of
fever
there's a
dream.
building of some sort, and I think falling through a building of some sort.
I watched a Kabuto movie with Zach once. I didn't
That
watch
was
the show.
look. They just roamed across the desert and fought in the desert, and then they created like the timeline parallel universe VS thing. I don't know. It was a rad time.
Yeah, I haven't seen the movie because after Fize's movie, I was like, no more movies.
It's that's a good way to go.
Yeah, I was like,
I would
no more.
Yeah, I would say like your mileage would vary on the Kamen Rider standalone flicks. The crossover ones to get really nutty.
I never cared for the later Kamen Rider flicks because I don't know, it became so. Maybe I preferred them as standalone things before, so at least I could be like ignore those. But now they're becoming more involved
Integral.
with the plots and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Build,
And like they're now
Build had
referenced
that.
in the shows. Yeah, Build had that in the show. Is like Drive had that. So like they're referenced their movies in the show, like months after the fact that the movie came out in theaters.
Yeah. But you can't actually watch the movies until way later because
I mean, that's our problem, not their
Yeah.
problem. I guess
yeah,
that's
I
the
mean,
American
for
problem.
us. Yeah, it's for our problem. I'm just saying. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, no.
Craig, how did you get into the tokusatsu and all? This stuff?
I blame Zach. I think Zach showed me.
This is how all begins.
Yep, this is the downward spiral. I blame you, Dom, for getting me into Precure, but that's besides the point. Basically, Zach, I think, showed me the opening for Kamen Rider Double at the time. And I was like, man, this looks like it's got style. And I think that's around the time, or shortly before Kamen Rider O started kicking in. And I'm like, it took me like a few weeks to get over the whole aspect of, this is live action.
What? They're not cartoons.
They're not cartoons.
I can't grasp this concept.
But man, what like it was fun. The only still thing that weirds me out is their use of CG and all across Sentai and Kamen Rider.
I mean, you just got to go with the flow. It's gonna look bad.
Oh,
Just go with the giant
It looks
CG.
bad, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
Mhm.
Yeah, you look. It's part of the ride.
How about you, John? Have you watched any of this kind of stuff? Is this?
I've watched some Kamen Rider. I couldn't see. I went to watch the what was it? The Super Sentai one with was it Captain Marvelous?
Oh, Gokaiger.
Gokaiger.
Gokaiger. I went to watch that. I watched like a couple of episodes of that, but I
I
couldn't
love
seem to
that
get
show.
into it.
I love it.
Still the only Super Sentai I finished.
Yeah, because they told you to finish it.
Yeah, I didn't even want to.
I haven't finished a Super Sentai. I'm in that halfway through one, but I have also not finished one. So.
I always lose interest.
Too formulaic?
I don't know. It's something about it. Maybe it is the formulaic aspect. I think I never get into the giant robot fights in particular.
I can agree with that. The giant robot fights tend to be, especially the one that I'm watching, they tend to be very like, because the designs get more and more like ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As
It's like, how do you even move in those things?
Yeah, and they can barely move in these things. The one that I'm watching is Lupin Ranger versus Pato Ranger, and like the robots are so big and clunky that most of their attacks and everything are all completely done in like CG, because it's like you can't move that in any sort of like reasonable way. Like, it's not gonna move, So yeah, I get that. That's definitely the weakest part of the episodes for me.
Yeah.
I've seen clips of the newest Super Sentai to come out, or at least the starting mech anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And that looks like it's supposed to be pretty agile, because they show him like wire work running quite fast, and like along buildings. On
Yeah,
the sides of
me and
platforms.
Craig sat and watched that first episode. Was it called Zeol Ranger or something like
Rio Soldier. It's Dragonite.
Rio
Dragonite.
Soldier, yeah.
that? I don't know, man. I know. But it was cool seeing the lack of CG in that first episode for the robot fight. Was very entertaining to watch in that regard.
The plot of that show is so serious. So serious.
Is it?
I mean, it...
No, I don't feel.
Craig was telling me about it. Yeah,
It doesn't feel that serious to me. It's as serious as a bunch of people wearing spandex can be, in my opinion. I mean, he wasn't there, and he hasn't seen the mid Heisei era Kabuto 5's era of shows. You haven't seen melodrama.
That's true. Craig is not familiar with the earlier Heisei.
I'm not familiar with them either, to be honest. I've seen, when it comes to Kamen Rider, I've seen Den-O, Kiva, Decade.
Top tier melodrama.
Decade. I need to get back to watching Double.
Yeah, you basically started when things started getting a bit more lighthearted.
Mm-hmm.
Den-O especially is pretty lighthearted.
Yeah.
And Kiva
Den-O was the one
Kiva.
that the group that I got talking to recommended to me. Although I did watch the Kamen Rider First and Kamen Rider Second, I think they're called movies.
Those movies.
The movies.
The one,
The next, I believe it's called.
Yeah, the one
First and
that
the next.
starts off like a B-tier Japanese horror movie.
Yeah, it's I've only seen First. I haven't seen Next yet. So
I haven't seen either.
But yeah,
I really enjoyed those actually.
I watched First a while back with a friend, but I enjoyed them. They're kind of a little bit more in line with the earlier Heisei stuff, but they also take like a lot of like really kind of silly liberties from the original story. But I guess since that leaves just me, I can say that me getting into Kamen Rider is also partly Zach's fault.
Good to know.
He introduced me like way back. This was like in 2010, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, he introduced me to like Kamen Rider Double and stuff, and I remember I went to his house and tried on his belt or whatever, and I broke it.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Good times.
I remember hearing about this.
I got too into like doing the little motion, and then I broke it. But yeah, I watched like 10 or so episodes of Double, and then completely dropped off it for several years. And then Gaim came out, and everybody was like, "Oh, Gaim!" Oh, everybody was like super into that show. And I remember like I watched like the first few episodes when that came out, fell off of it again. Didn't try anymore until Drive was airing, where I went back to Double, and then I watched O's, and then I watched like a million other shows. Including not also some Showa era Kamen Rider, but mainly Black and Black RX and Amazon. Those are the only Showa era ones I've seen.
Have you seen Amazons?
I watched a little bit of Amazons.
I think I watched
But
like
I haven't
episode
finished.
1 of it, and it's definitely interesting. It's dark.
It's ridiculous. But other than that, I've watched a good deal of I watched Godzilla a lot as a kid. And when the 2014 Legendary movie came out or was coming out, I did like a huge like Godzilla marathon.
Oh, right, that one.
And was like I was getting ready for it, and then it sucked.
Are you looking forward to this new Godzilla movie that'll come out?
I'm not.
Godzilla King of the Monsters, is it?
See, I didn't get... Okay, I saw Shazam recently, and I guess there was supposed to be like an exclusive trailer before Shazam for it, and I didn't get that in my show.
I didn't. Yeah, I don't think we did either. Yeah.
So I have no idea what this supposedly cool exclusive trailer is.
Yeah. To answer your question, yes and no. Yes, because I'm like... Yes, because it's like, man, it would be nice if it was like an actual good, like kaiju film for once. Like
a US kaiju film?
Yeah. Yeah, like if they actually made a good one of those that isn't, the first Pacific Rim. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, the first one left such a bad taste in my mouth that I'm not going to get my hopes up. We can go see it, but yeah, I'm not. I'm
May, June.
Yeah, I think so.
Fuck, I don't even remember. I'm actually looking this up as we speak.
I think it's around that time period.
Yeah. So, but then they made but then it was fine because they released Shin Godzilla, and that movie is fantastic.
Thank you. Anno's side project to not.
Yeah, thank you, base
to not
Anno.
think about Evangelion for a while.
Yeah, that movie rules, so it was fine.
I've never seen any of the Godzilla films, like not a single one.
That's
true. I watched the American one with you.
Yeah.
I've only seen the American Godzilla movies, unfortunately.
Oh,
I would like to see
Matthew Broderick one
Yes,
too.
that's the only the 2014 movie, or the only touchstone to Godzilla that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
Listen, I saw Jason Statham fight a monster like in Crank. They paid homage.
Oh, I mean that. Yeah, I've seen that too.
What a movie!
What a solid kaiju fight that was.
Oh God.
I mean, I subscribed recently to the Criterion Collection channel, and they have a bunch of the Showa era Godzilla films, so I have access.
Yeah, Showa era is interesting because it starts off where you have like the original, and it's like this this kind of like allegory for nuclear scare and whatever.
Stuff,
yeah, and then the further you get into Showa, it's just just super campy. That's the thing, is when I was doing my marathon, I had to stop, because if I kept watching more Showa, like there's more in Showa, like Godzilla films, than any other era. Mm-hmm. And so I was like doing it. I was going through almost all of them, except for the ones that people had said were really bad, like don't watch these. So I was going through, and I was like hitting major fatigue because there was just so much Showa, and the further you get along, the stupider it becomes. And so I was like, okay, I had to like hard stop so I could jump to Heisei. And I only ended up watching a few of those anyways, because I had watched so much Showa that I was basically Godzilla'd out for a while.
Now, how does it get stupid in your opinion? Is it just melodramatic, or is it just like escalation and they have to fight
it's super campy, like 70s, like that 70s cheese and camp. That's what it is. Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's really goofy, and it like most of it doesn't have anything to do. Like there's like I think there's one video, there's like one that has like King Ghidorah, I think. And like it's like styled like a 70s like spy movie. It's really silly. Yeah, so it's just like Godzilla just gets super silly as it goes on. It's been in Showa, at least.
Which is fine. It just
Yeah.
you got do in small doses.
Yeah, you just gotta watch it in doses and not try and marathon an entire.
Does Godzilla win every
You know.
single match? Is this the underlying theme? He will always win?
No. Godzilla. I mean, the first movie, Godzilla dies.
Then how does he come back in Godzilla 2?
It's not the same Godzilla. There's not like a continuity. Usually, there might be like some sequels here and there, but generally speaking, like the first Godzilla. Or wait, no, I think in the second one they might have brought. I don't know.
When did they bring in Mechagodzilla?
Oh man,
So basically,
this Godzilla canon. Let's go.
yeah. So in the first Godzilla, he dies. Essentially,
Okay.
and then in the second, they make a second movie where there's another monster or something, and then, but what they end up having to do is unfreeze Godzilla because he's frozen for some reason. Even though the ending of the first movie is not Godzilla being frozen, it's him actually dying underwater because of the thing that they make. I forget what it's called. They make a thing.
Yeah.
That can only kill Godzilla, and they have to drop it in the water while he's in there.
Of course.
And and it kills him. But that isn't what actually happens. You know, he doesn't get frozen. He actually dies. Like I think you see his bones or something. But yeah, for some reason, the next movie, Godzilla's just frozen, and they have to unfreeze him, and he fights or something. I don't know. The second Godzilla movie is not very good. So, and that's the other thing is the quality like varies very greatly over like is depending on the movie. Like it just varies. You could watch a great Godzilla movie and then the next one will be complete shit.
Yeah.
So yeah. I haven't watched outside of that my exposure with a lot of kind of tokusatsu things, or as Zach puts it, anime adjacent media.
Anime adjacent media.
Is not that great. Me and Zach are currently watching like our first Ultraman very slowly.
You want to talk about melodrama?
Yeah, that's very melodramatic.
Running to the force with your leather jacket on.
Yeah.
Screaming at the
wind, cursing God.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, at least it's cool to see that. And in Ultraman's case, they're kind of bleeding into like the anime sphere with Gridman and the Netflix Ultraman anime CG one.
And there's the Garo animes too.
Oh right,
yeah. I've watched a bit of Garo. I forgot about that.
I watched the original Garo Toku, and I watched a bit of the anime, a couple of the animes.
I can't get into Garo animes at all. Like they're fine, but
yeah, I watched one of them. It was not the first one. I think I watched the first episode of the second one.
Yeah,
and I remember kind of liking it, but then I just never watched it anymore.
I heard the second one's is the bad one.
Yeah,
the mediocre
that's the one. That's the one people don't talk about.
Yeah, the Crescent Moon. I think it's like.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've watched the first episode of that. I watched the first one, which is the most interesting, but I watched it when it came out, and I was like, I'll watch it when it's all done, and I never did. But and I watched 8 episodes of the third one, Vanishing Line.
Yeah,
and that was okay. But I just
that's the one. That's the one people tend to like. It also has like a movie or something. But I don't know a whole lot about Garo. I've only watched so little of it.
Yeah, it's its own segment of fandom. It has a lot of Toku series on its own too.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
and it's funny because like when I first got into Garo, there was just the one and like the 2 movies, and it was like slowly it's like, oh man, it almost felt like its own little pocket in the Toku fandom. Yeah, when I first started, and now it's kind of grown into this big fucking thing over the course of my entering the Toku fandom, like slowly spilled, and now it's just like a bunch of it everywhere.
Yeah, the cool thing about Garo is that it's got like a shit ton of Jam Project like openings.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, yes.
I listen to all of those, but I haven't really watched much Garo.
Garo, Go Nagai projects, get your fill of the
Yeah,
Jam.
pretty much.
I got a question related to this. What
yeah.
are your guys' favorite anime adjacent media shows or films? Anime adjacent.
That's what I'm going to start calling it now on like Twitter and stuff. I'm not watching Tokusatsu anymore, guys. I'm watching
God.
anime adjacent.
I'm watching adjacent
media.
media. I'm watching anime adjacent media.
with my wine cup and my pinky out.
Got a nice wheeled cheese to go with my
Yes.
my
Anime
common
adjacent
resident-
media.
oh.
Yes, I too enjoy watching anime adjacent media.
Zach, to answer your question, like, are you asking for a specific show or like,
Show, film, whatever.
you know
Name
my
out shit out some of your faves.
you know my favorites: Commodore O's, Build, Gaim. I like.
I was about to say I know, but does the people know?
Yeah, dude, the people. You haven't had a chance to talk about this on this platform, so you
Use
gotta,
it
you
Oh,
while
gotta,
you
you're right.
can.
Okay,
Yeah.
I gotta stand on this.
you gotta milk that. I'm not gonna go.
You got milk. What, Dom? What are we milking here?
I don't know.
What are we
Are
extracting?
we extracting desire?
We're connected.
Oh, yeah, we really are.
Let me dust off this soapbox for you, Craig.
Okay.
Get on it.
Yeah, get on.
So yeah, while Sentai is kind of formulaic, and the robot battles are kind of clunky and CG clusterfucks at a certain point, I definitely liked Gokaiger. It had what draws me to those, and kind of with Precure to an extent, is while they're formulaic monsters of the week, they have characters that carry the show and their personalities. Dom actually pointed me to Lupin Ranger versus Patrol Ranger in the opening, and I'm just like, that opening is good.
That opening is so good.
And then from there, I started watching that. I, much like Dom, I'm like halfway through. I gotta get back to it. But Kamen Rider wise, blame Zach on that one. Me and him watched all of O's together. We watched all of Build together. I watched all of X-Aid in fear that I get spoiled courtesy of Dom.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. It was funny.
It just wasn't for me. There wasn't many surprises once I got to the show.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Listen.
I was not being conscious. To be fair, it came back to bite me later because that happened to me with Build.
Yep.
I fell behind, and literally everybody spoiled that show for me. So,
There we go.
Build and that. In terms of Kamen Rider, I always say that I'm gonna try and go behind the Heisei era. I'm trying to watch, like, as John said earlier, like Deno and Kabuto and stuff like that. I get like a few episodes in, and I'm like, I'll get to it eventually. It's a part of the ever-growing backlog of things I need to watch, much like all the Precure franchise, Aikatsu, One Piece, Gundam.
I mean, I started my project of trying to get through all the Heisei era shows around 2009, 2010, and I'm still not done.
Hey, listen,
because I slowed down significantly.
If you watch all of Kuga,
I have not finished everything either.
If you watch all of Kuga, Zach, then you'll be able to beat it within a decade's time. Go.
I mean, I need to finish Kuga and I need to watch Ghost.
We're watching that as well.
Oh, Amazon's, I guess.
I'm gonna have to sit both of you down with Kuga at some point because
I'm waiting for those Blu-rays to come out.
I think they are. They're out.
Yeah, well, I know. Are they translated though?
I'm pretty sure they are.
Like, I think the first half was because I have that.
Yeah, I remember. I think it should be by now. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I gotta go do some digging later.
Yep, you gotta do some investigations.
To answer Zach's question, my favorite anime adjacent media is Kamen Rider Ryuki, otherwise known as the show that Gen Urobuchi likes to take inspiration from consistently, a lot, very often. So Yeah, that is
Where's
my
that?
favorite.
Where's that in Thunderbolt Fantasy?
That's probably why I like Thunderbolt Fantasy so much, is because I can't just be like, this is just Kamen Rider Ryuki.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, that is one I recommend generally to people who are into anime, because it's very anime.
I hear that Ryuki has a lot of melodrama, and a lot of the characters are assholes towards each other.
They are, but they're also kind of funny. It's not written by the guy who's generally known for all the melodrama in Kamen Rider.
No.
It's written by the woman who does Den-O and O's.
Yeah, Den-O's and O's, yeah.
And she's done a few Sentai, so it was like her first writer experience. The movie is done by the guy who is known for all the melodrama, and the movie is bad.
Yeah.
So I also really like Kamen Rider Black. If I go further back and I talk about Showa, Kamen Rider Black it's got that sort of campy Showa-ness to it, but it's also legitimately kind of like dark in a sort of 80s way, and it can be kind of haunting.
Was that the one that actually was adapted for Saturday morning cartoons along with Power Rangers?
That was Black RX.
Okay.
And I think they used a lot of stuff from Black as well while doing that adaptation. It's basically, other than the suit, it has like nothing in common with the original show.
You tell me that abomination creature named Phoebus or Fergus?
The Furby!
No, that was
not in Black RX?
Oh, it was totally there the entire time. Yeah.
Yeah, that giant platypus alien thing.
The Furby looking motherfucker. Yeah, I recall that thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a mistake. But yeah, those are my two go-to favorites for Kamen Rider stuff. If I say my favorite Godzilla movie was the 1991
Matthew Broderick?
No, with
That's a lot of fish.
Yeah, with 1991, guys. Come on.
What's time anyway?
Versus Ghidorah, I believe.
King Ghidorah, apparently.
King Ghidorah, yeah. I think it was 1991. I could be wrong. My years could be off. But that used to be my favorite. And then I saw Shin Godzilla, and I was like, this is a masterpiece. Anno, base god. This is my favorite Godzilla movie. And Craig got it for me. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah.
Good job, Craig.
I did good, guys.
Mm-hmm. You did.
Did it good.
But yeah, those are my things that I like. You should watch them if you're listening to this.
Please watch these properties. They are all good and worth your time.
Watch this quality anime adjacent media.
Pinky out.
O's is one of my favorites. I think part of it is just I really like the characters. I think part of it was the experience of watching with my friend Craig over there throughout the course of the year. And it was my first show I watched as it aired too, so I think that usually holds some little significance to you as well. Yep. Build also, I feel like that's been rising in the ranks recently, and just like, I don't know, that show. At first I was not into it, but it's built up to me. It might even be my potential I didn't even intend that to happen. I apologize to everyone.
It's okay.
I've been told I would probably enjoy Build if I got in.
You would.
Got around to
You
it.
really would.
Build, I think, is a really good mix of everything I like in Rider. It has some of the cool sci-fi aspects of the original stuff. It has a cool... I feel like one of the themes I tend to like is when good friendly bonds occur between the characters. Yeah. So with the two leads in Build particular are just like have a great good chemistry with each other. So whenever I see a nice good bromance or further if you are certain parts of the internet. I've seen the art. I'm okay with it. And I'm okay with it.
They are they could be considered as very gay.
Oh yeah, that's another thing about Rider is it's very gay.
Oh yeah.
Like not even just Build, just in general. I
was like, have you seen Kamen Rider O's of Ankh and Edgy?
I mean, they really like those male relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quality male bonding.
Male bonding. They sit down and enjoy their anime adjacent media together.
They do. I mean, just like you and Craig.
Yeah, exactly.
See, there you go.
Blade is another favorite of mine.
Blade is so good.
It has one of my favorite endings to.
It has
the
the
shows.
best.
The
ending
latest
of it.
arc in Zeo is Blade.
I need to get to
Yep.
that. I mean, that's the only thing I'm looking forward to at that show. Definitely. I accepted my fate that show is not very good, but I'm there for the ride and to be appealed to by throwing all these old actors at me, taking on their suits and characters.
I just want more
again,
Tsukasa.
so.
Give me more Tsukasa.
I mean, I want that too. He was driving a bus very
He
recently,
was.
so there we go.
Looked very dapper.
Why was he driving the bus? I don't know, but
he's passing by.
He's passing by a Kamen Rider. I tend to recommend Gaim to people because I feel like that's a very easy show to get your hands on, and plus they have that connection with the writer Gen Urobuchi, who wrote this show we're going to be talking about.
He did.
Yeah,
He
the
did.
Booch.
Yeah. So I think that's a very good middle ground to start entering one fandom into the other. It's newer, so it's easier to get your hands on too.
Mm.
And plus, with being newer, the special effects will not be so off-putting to people.
That is true.
So, and I like Gaim a lot too. That show is actually, I mean, I know
It has problems.
I don't know about everyone else. I think there are some strange character motivations, but that could be
one person
for specific characters.
Yeah.
But man, it's a fucking watchable show. I waited till it was over and I marathoned over the course of 3 days.
Yeah, you
so
literally did.
I just sat on my computer and just watched it nonstop. Only left to go eat and go to classes because I was in college at the time still. So, but that's about it. I don't really watch Godzilla. I don't remember Garo really well at all. I'm in the middle of watching Ultraman. So I am nuts. I've seen some foreign language Japanese films. So I don't know if that comes under anime adjacent media.
Anime adjacent.
Anime
Does it have I
adjacent
mean, is it a J drama?
media.
Are they dramas?
No.
Well,
I've seen the movie Shoplifters last year. That was pretty
there
good.
you
I suppose in my case, I feel like if from what I've seen of or Double, however you pronounce it,
Double.
yeah. If I'd actually finished that one probably would be my favorite. From what I've seen,
I think that's a good also beginner
Yes,
writer too.
It is.
Good
Yeah, it's a very
point.
good beginner.
It's
It was
it's
my
the one
first
that I've
ever.
gotten most of my friends to watch to get into it. So
Yeah.
2 of them here, a third one not here also. So
but of the admittedly very few that I have watched all the way through, I think I actually enjoyed Kiva the most.
Really?
I got into the franchise with Den-O, and then I went back and watched Kiva, and I started watching Yuki and couldn't get into it, and then I watched Decade. I started watching Double, but again I never finished watching it. I watched some of Gaim, and I've watched the first episode of Zeo. Of the ones that I've actually finished, I think Kiva was the one I enjoyed the most. But then I probably wouldn't have watched it if I hadn't watched Den-O, so...
we're all allowed to have a take.
I was like,
I will admit, it's probably not... when people hear, Kiva is probably not going to be the one that everyone say, yeah, that's a really good one. So, probably
we're
not
all
a very
allowed-
good
it's-
one.
Everyone has their
But...
It's the only one. It's the only one I've dropped out of rage.
I've only seen the opening, and I'm like, man, it's a cool suit design.
It's got some good music and some great suits.
Yeah.
I will say that.
I'm glad the best actor in that show went on to be in a better show called Kamen Rider Build.
Yeah,
and,
he's coming out of Greece. What's up?
But yeah, I enjoyed the time travel aspect of it, and I like vampires.
Oh,
It had
you
a
go.
bunch of things
mean,
that
that's-
appealed to me
that's-
that kept me
that's
watching.
fair.
So.
That's look.
Hey, right on.
Hey,
I liked it for very me reasons. So
I mean, everyone's has their own tastes.
Yeah.
And you know what? And they're all dumb shows for children. Anyway.
They are. They really
so
are.
who really cares in the end?
Speaking of dumb shows
Oh.
that aren't for children,
I mean, a child
look at
could
that.
watch
Check.
this.
well, no, there's lots of blood.
Oh, you know what? That's very true. There is a
Yeah,
lot.
there's lots of blood and lots of people die. So speaking of our review for today we will be talking about Thunderbolt Fantasy Sword Seekers 2 from Studio PILI Multimedia Inc. with Nitroplus and Good Smile Company.
Mm-hmm.
Other shows by them generally just include a bunch of Chinese puppet shows, so we don't really have
too much
names for them. Yeah, and too much to
Yeah.
really list here. They're not really stuff you can go watch like legally as far as I'm aware, so you know.
Thunderbolt has that advantage of it being Gen Urobuchi in Nitro
Yeah.
Plus related.
Yeah. The synopsis is as follows. This is for the first season. I'm going to butcher like a shit ton of these names, by the way.
Oh, I'm
We're
Yeah,
all
looking
gonna
forward
be
to this.
doing
I know.
This
yeah,
is the greatest
this-
part of the show.
Here's
Yeah,
the warning.
yeah. I deeply apologize if you actually know how to pronounce any of this stuff. I have no idea how. I study Japanese, not Chinese. Many years ago, humans waged a terrible war against the denizens of the demon realm. In the process, a series of special Genhomoje, or heavenly instructor magic implements, weapons, were forged to defeat the forces of the nether realm. After the war, these sacred weapons were entrusted to the care of the special guardians. The most powerful of these weapons, the Chanjingjian, or the Sword of Divine Retribution, was entrusted to the family of the siblings Donheng and Donfei. Now, the leader of the rival clan, Mie Chanhai, will stop at nothing to possess his sword. While on the run from Mie Chanhai, Donheng and Dongfei encounter a mysterious stranger, Lian Zhuya, who aids them in their quest. I totally fucked all that
You're
up.
good.
Hey, look. It's
um,
okay. You're drunk. You're fine.
I'm also mildly under the influence of.
But that's
So-
all stuff in the first season, so that's completely irrelevant.
it's all stuff in the first season, so none of it fucking matters.
You all
because
should
the
go
second-
back, listen to the previous episode
Yeah,
that we did on this show on the first season, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we did do that.
I believe that
Yeah,
was
see,
a
that's
host choice.
That was mine.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Craig's host choice.
So there we go. And we were
We-
probably going to spoil the fuck out of stuff that happened in that one to talk about this season.
I mean, yeah,
imagine.
you kind of have to, right?
Yeah, because it picks right up right at the end. So
It does. So, speaking of picking right up, let's go right into the story.
Yo, I think this story, Zach, when we were watching it, said it best. I think the story this time around is a lot tighter, and it's a lot more digestible
Oh, yeah.
to actually take in.
Oh yeah,
I-
yeah, totally.
honestly, I think my opinion is that, like, thinking more about the plot is that, like, it's more interesting because I think it's more character driven than before. But
Yeah.
if you really think about a grander scheme of things, nothing really happens because, like, they introduce a main bad guy who's completely irrelevant, and then some other dude comes into the fruition as the bad guy, and then there's another bad guy. So really, it's just a bunch of people just running around and fighting each other a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of like just like playing. It's a lot of like just playing goose.
Yeah.
And where everybody's just trying to get these swords. Basically, what happens is after the first season, the main character with his sword index, essentially, he is running around this other country, and then his shit gets stolen from him from this one antagonist, and then basically this other two antagonists also come into the fray, and then you have the three main characters, you know, all trying to get these swords back from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a bunch of running around and like betrayals and, you know, trying to steal from each other. And so it's pretty, you know, and so in that sense, it's, yeah, not a lot happens. The first season was much more like an epic journey. You
Gotta
know?
save the world,
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
The first one was definitely a quest in mind. They get the band together to go take care of the quest, and this one's more like, well, shenanigans are happening. It's kind of if I'll have to compare it to a bad movie series, it's definitely the Matrix second Matrix movie. It's obviously going to be building to the third season that we're going to have eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first series was definitely of a grander scale as to what happened and all the events that went on. And this one felt a lot smaller. Like they went to fewer locations, a lot more repeated scenery. But ultimately, I don't think that was a bad thing because I still enjoyed it.
No.
Yeah, I enjoyed the plot in this a lot. Like I followed it and was more invested in what was going on a lot more than the first season. I feel like with the first season there was like I mentioned this on my on the review of the first season, is that I felt that the first season like peaked at the beginning because it was like, oh shit, what's going on? This is fucking nuts. And then because it's like it does this whole thing where it gets the band, you're getting the band together, and then they're going on this journey, and they're like, you know, it's got that kind of like story, that very kind of traditional story build up. You know, you start at the beginning, and then you have, you know, your rising action and then the climax and that sort of thing. It's got the very traditional story setup. The way this goes down was a lot more engaging for me. It was in the season that it was airing, it was at times my my favorite thing to watch.
Same.
And this was, I think Gridman was at the same season as this.
You're correct.
I believe you're correct.
Fall.
Yeah,
2018.
and so there were times, and while I was always very excited for Gridman, when Monday morning came around and I was going to work, I was like, oh yeah, I'm so excited for another episode of Thunderbolt Fantasy on the train.
I think it benefits as well, because I think one of the things about the first season is that our characters are the big thing is that the first season is like a lot of characters are keeping secrets, and everything keeps close to the chest, so we don't know a lot about these people.
Yeah.
So now that we had a whole season to get to know Shampu Huan and Lin Xuanya, so we get to see these characters interact and have fun things. We know about the Sorcerer Index. We know Lin Xuanya's whole gimmick and how he's goes around and dicks people over all the time, and so we get to learn more about Shampu Huan's past, which is not even really revealed until the end of the previous season. So
yeah. In addition to this, I feel like a lot of the characters that like are new in comparison to the characters that were only really in season 1. I feel like the newer characters also outshine a lot of the older season 1 only characters as well.
I can get that.
And I think, I think that was another reason why the story resonated with me more this season.
It also should be noted that, like, before sitting down to actually talk about the show, because I watched it while it was airing, admittedly I have a memory of a goldfish, so there were some subplots that I didn't exactly recall. So I wound up intending to watch only maybe 2 or 3 episodes, maybe like the get hype moments of the show. I wound up watching half the show in the process, and one thing stood out to me. While there are, like, the other individuals on the podcast, like, and upon watching it, rewatching season 1 in, like, a binge fashion, you could recognize that season 1 had a lot of standing and talking and then action. This one still has a little bit of standing and talking, then action, but it's, like, not nearly as boring, I would say.
I think they upped the melodrama and the camera angles and
they
goofy
did.
shit happening around them too.
The production was more catered to creating a bit more of a
dynamic,
interesting dynamic, especially during the talking scenes. Because with the first season, like, there was very little going on, like, as far as the camera was concerned with the talking. With this new season, there's a lot. Whenever something dramatic. The big example that I always think of that Craig reminded me of is the one from episode 6, where they like reveal something to this guy, and it just like, there's all these camera like cuts and like going back and forth and like driving, like coming zooms and coming in from like different angles, and he's just like so shocked, and there's like close-ups on him sweating and everything, and it's just really it's really funny, but it's also a lot more engaging than what we had before.
And not only that, but like, I guess it's kind of like, I'm not gonna talk too deep on the production on this, but like, just the sheer, like, the hair flip, like, they are like, yo, and I said this during our end of the year thing, but it's just like, yo, they're trying to make puppets look sexy and bishi, more bishi than they actually are, but they're just like, you know, the Ling Che-hua, the Vape Wizard's son, he's just like, I'm gonna strike a pose, and then I'm gonna whip my hair dramatically, and then smoke my pipe, and you're just like, okay, I guess you can handle
Just the pipe.
everything.
Mwah.
Yeah, there's a lot more of going on with like the gestures and stuff
Oh, yeah.
too.
Yeah, a big strength of the first season was the character acting for the puppets, but I think they used the camera play. I mean, this is diving into production stuff, but the camera play to help build the character play as well, because because obviously these puppets can't move their faces, so they have to rely on their body movement. But now they're using the camera to also show off these characters and actions and reactions much more to get a reaction out of the audience.
Yep. But yeah, on the whole, the plot this time around is more personal, character focused. It's
Small scale.
Yeah, smaller scale. It's again, people are hunting Shang Huan. He doesn't have the best of luck in this case, and
you know what? And the thing is about smaller scale is not a bad thing, because I always feel the problem with a lot of media is that people feel like there has to be like a giant end big thing that has to destroy the earth. This is like a problem I feel like with like some blockbuster films that come out every time. It's like there always has to be an end game that might destroy the earth. When a smaller scale story can be just as enticing as a large scale story.
I definitely agree. There's like hints of a bigger thing going on in the background. In the second season's plot. But it's just, it kind of stays that way, and I think it's building up for it's going to probably come up in the third season.
Yeah.
But but the general focus is all about, what's going on in this other nation that Shang Puhan has journeyed to. And so
Don Lee, wasn't it?
Don Lee, yes.
Yeah, Don Lee. So in that regard, I 100% agree with Zach. And it pretty much always kept me into the action whenever it needed to. So in that regard, I do think it's an improvement over the original. So should we move on to I mean, we already touched on them a little bit, but should we move on to our character discussion?
Yes, I was kind of holding off on some thoughts on characters because I knew this segment was coming up.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start.
Okay.
My favorite character was Lingya. Is that, I don't even know if that's how I'm supposed to say it.
Langhuya?
Langhuya.
Langhuya.
Lingya is the instrument. Whoops. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Langhuya. Yeah. Langhuya is the one of the new characters for this season, who is actually based off the guy who sings the openings, TM Revolution.
Yeah, his mascot.
Yeah, it's like they made a character based off him, and he voices the character and stuff. I liked him a lot because he is a bard who uses his instrument to fight a dragon, and uses the power of it's like watching Macross 7 all over again.
I love that. I started watching episode 5 just to remember it, and I'm like, yeah. This show
inserts on when he starts jamming on his lute.
He's like jamming on his lute and is like creating like a barrier around himself as a dragon is breathing fire on him, and he's basically using the power of music to deflect this dragon fire, and it's like the coolest fucking thing. Anyway,
all the while the opening song subtitles are playing in the background.
Yeah,
and Ling Shehua is just in the background, just like, wow, that's impressive. And you're like,
there we go.
I love you.
Like, I agree with what you said earlier in the story segment. I feel like the new characters they introduced in this segment are all super memorable. Wang Wuya was very fun. Zhao Quan Yong. Wow, that's a toughie.
Yeah.
Zhao Quan Yong, the boy with the glasses and smiles with his creepy puppet teeth.
Yeah,
is a very fun villain.
Yeah,
he is fun. He has a lot of fun.
He had like a whole extra face. Like they've got. He's the only puppet that I know that they in all
Those
of this
teeth,
that
man.
they actually had two completely different
nightmare
expressions.
Yeah, they would just do this powerful zoom on his teeth as he would like grim maniacally. It was pretty great.
Along with him and the monk character Decon, or also later in the show is known as Lu Zhenji, are this nihilistic monk that's introduced after the first few episodes, who believes life is pointless, and nothing's worth living for, and what's the purpose in anything? And he thinks that we're all going to die anyway, so what's the purpose of anything?
But what is the
And I
purpose
feel-
in you killing me right now?
And the thing I think I like about these characters, specifically those two, the monk and the justice guy, I feel like they're such Gen Urobuchi having this. I think he's now Gen Urobuchi's gotten older. I think he has a self-awareness of his writing styles of the past. So he created this nihilistic monk and this guy whose whole big thing is about justice and his own form of justice, but that turns and corrupts him. And so I feel like he's kind of like poking fun of his old writing motifs that he used to rely on. Even down to the monk character. I read this as a little thing, was Lu Jinji is based off a D&D character that Gen Urobuchi created himself. And he used to roleplay as. So he input his D&D character. So basically his self-insert is to character is this nihilistic monk who's going around saying, what's the point of anything? We're all going to die anyway.
I just, like, it was funny because I didn't pick it up on the first viewing, but I picked it up definitely on this one. I'm like, that motherfucker is voiced by Akira Ishida.
He is, man.
Yeah, that's really well done.
And I think seeing Gen, because the first show I feel like is so not really Urobuchi-like, and I feel like now we're starting to see more Urobuchi's writing style, but again in a sense where he's being kind of more playful with the way his writing style used to be, and implementing these silly fun ways, like he's almost poking fun of himself with these two characters.
Yeah. There was one Urobuchi thing that does happen that I didn't really like. Concerning one of the characters, there's one female character in this show. Jie Jinglo.
That girl
Again,
is
I probably butchered that. Yeah, she uses
Yeah.
poison. I'm just gonna call it poison.
Yeah.
From now on, like the Street Fighter character.
Yeah.
But
Poison Princess, I think, was the nickname for her.
You are correct.
yeah, she being the only female character in a Gen Urobuchi show is generally a bad sign. And in this particular instance, they don't really do anything to avoid that, which kind of annoyed me. I'll probably go more into that in spoilers, but yeah, that was the one thing that.
Yeah, like it continues from the previous season where the one female character continues to be one of the disappointing aspects of the show, where the character, while this one's a little bit more useful, like this character can actually fight, unlike the previous season.
Yeah, this one she can actually fight, but
still underutilized heavily.
Yeah, and there's just one thing that happens towards the end of her character arc that really irked me. But I will get into that in spoilers. But yeah, everyone returning is pretty good, and the new characters are generally enjoyable. So
yeah,
overall, I also preferred this aspect of the second series more.
Yeah, there's a stronger cast, and you know what? And we got teases of previous returning people who will just show up for cameos.
Yeah.
Those are little fun ones too. And you know what? And you have enough nostalgia for it, you know?
I was very excited to see one particular episode thumbnail, like, oh, that one? Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's on Crunchyroll, they have like one of the episode thumbnails is one of the old season 1 characters who hasn't, appeared in the second series at all before then. And we're like, oh, me and Craig, I was like, oh, Craig, he's back. He's back. And then he just kind of pops up for one scene and is like, oh yeah, I hope you do this thing. And he fucks him off.
Hey, good for you, bud.
Yeah.
So I feel, and maybe because it's particularly one of my favorite characters from the first season, Lin Zhuya is in the show, but I feel like he's not as prevalent as he was before.
He does a lot of kind of just sitting in the background and kind of popping up and like kind of just antagonizing people or just doing shifty shit in the background, and then eventually things don't go his way and he's like, well, fuck this.
Fuck this.
And like part of his character arc is kind of like everyone's kind of got him figured out at this point, so he's
Yeah.
like, well, I thought my shit's not going exactly the way I want, or is it?
Yeah. So it's fun to see that him thrust in kind of a different environment since before he was basically pulling everyone along.
And it's fun to see Shan Buhuan and actually know more about him as a person in his past.
Yeah.
That was my character as my icon. I'm just like, yo, that guy, I think it was episode 6, and I'm not going to give context for what happens, but he literally glows like a Super Saiyan, and you're just like, you know more about him, but there's still a bit of air of mystery to this boy, and you're just like, man, he's got it all handled, he's got it on lockdown, and he can still, like, fucking one-man army everything, and I love it.
And it does what I like in stories where it's like it doesn't exposition dumps too much.
No.
It drip feeds more this season as well with the characters and their story, especially with Jean-Paul Juan's history, and just like it drip feeds with character interactions, meeting people from the previous country he was from, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Another new character in the series is Ling Ya, which is Lang Ruyao's instrument.
Oh yeah,
because he can talk.
The thing about Lang is that he doesn't like to talk very much, even though he's voiced by TM Revolution.
I mean, that's probably why.
I mean, also, the in-canon explanation is he has an enchanted voice, which draws danger to him, so he doesn't really talk all that much.
Yeah, he doesn't talk. He has an
Seems like a pretty good way to hide someone's potential acting ability.
Yeah,
just saying.
probably. he has an instrument that is John's avatar, Ling Ya, who does most of the talking for him. And it's probably one of the in contrast to, Lang is one of the chattier characters in the entire show. So they make a pretty funny duo.
Yeah, and he also tends to talk with a lot of sass.
Yeah.
I love it.
He spends most of the time as like a what is it?
A pipa.
Which is a Chinese lute.
Yeah. But he can also transform into a sword, though he doesn't do it very often.
It's so cool when it happens.
Yeah, there's like a transformation sequence and everything where like
it's so cool.
He gets these two blades come out of the side of the instrument, and it's so crazy and ridiculous.
This is a very sword-heavy season. Like in the previous season, we got a variety of weapons, but everyone pretty much has swords.
Yeah, everybody has a sword.
Yeah, so
everyone can use the sword.
That's why it's called Sword Seekers.
Hey!
No!
Hey!
Fuck.
Do you guys want to go on to production?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think we generally mentioned a good deal about the production earlier. One thing I wanted to mention though that we didn't talk about is the new opening, which is like the biggest flex of all time.
I mean, it's just the insert song.
It's just like, so they had the insert song from the last season, but they like did new vocals for it.
Yeah,
for it. Like so the first season had like its own TM Revolution opening, and then it also had this like really great like insert song done by Sawano, who it also still does the music for the new season. And so they were like, shit, man, what are we going to do for the opening of the second season? And they were just like, guys, let's just combine TM Revolution and Sawano into one package. And so they just took the insert song from the last season and then had TM Revolution sing over it, and it's fucking amazing. And I love it.
It's great, and every time it pumps up those insert songs that were already pretty pumping already, even further. We talked about the puppets in certain terms of the camera work, but I'll say another reason why the characters this time around are a lot more intriguing as well too is I think the puppet designs continue to be fantastic, and I love the new character designs as well.
Yeah, the new character designs are all great. Like all of them look great, and they have this. That's one thing I also really like about the ending. Is the ending sequence has this little part where like it shows the puppets and then it like paints over them or whatever.
Oh yeah.
It kind of like creates artwork out of the puppet. But yeah, they all look great. If there was official and I think there's official art of most of them, and they're all very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all the new puppets look pretty great.
Great, fantastic. They're doing great work in that.
Yeah,
and they just design and all look so unique, and you can. Even if you can't think of the names of the characters sometimes, you can definitely recognize them.
Yeah, they're all recognizable, I think, is the good thing. Which is nice when you're watching and you're, like, reading the Chinese names, and you're like, right, yeah, Yeah,
Yes,
kinda.
yes. Lang Wu Yao, yes.
I can put that to a face.
I mean, you were definitely not confusing the lute and the man who held the lute.
Yeah, not when you're actually watching, no, but
No, because he's a lute
yeah,
and a
so,
man.
yeah.
One thing I wanted to point out about the production this time around versus our first foray into Thunderbolt Fantasy is while there is CG, there's not as prevalent use of CG as there was in season 1.
Yeah.
It's a lot of practical
thank
effects,
God.
Yeah.
and a certain
There's-
character is all practical effects rather than strictly CG.
Yeah, there's an actual like final fight this time, which is pretty great instead of fighting a big CG monster like in the first season.
Yep.
So that was like the final nail in the coffin for, oh man, this season fucking rocks, as it actually had, like
An
a
actual
final
budget.
like yeah.
And you know what? And with the dragon, that could have been just as easily CG monster as well.
Yep, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Put just a man in a
A
dragon suit.
man in a big dragon suit fighting some puppets.
Uh,
Yeah.
I loved that, actually. I loved that the dragon was a man in a suit.
Yeah.
It's just so good. That's classic kaiju monsters right there.
It is, yeah. And it looks a lot better than if they had just cheaped out and done, a CG version of the dragon. It looks better.
Yeah.
I appreciate
I'm
that
glad they-
extra effort.
Yeah.
And, there was so many scenes of, the ground, exploding from under them, and they've literally had, a lot of dirt getting kicked up at these puppets.
And you know what? I feel like a lot of the strength of these now we're getting better effects and less on relying on CG is probably the scripting improved this time around. And,
Yeah.
Before Urobuchi was just kind of winging it. He's like, oh man, I want to write a show about puppets. And now he actually got the experience. He's like, okay, I know limitations. Maybe he kept in mind this time around,
The world.
things you could potentially actually do with puppets and with puppetry and also with costume works as well.
Yeah.
Maybe not do something so weird like creating that giant CG monster type creatures.
Yeah.
There also wasn't anyone getting their ribs exploded out this time, though.
But yeah, I mean, you get to see a dragon band step on another creature as well. You get to hear squishings.
There was a really gruesome scene where a bunch of people got mauled.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of blood.
Yeah, there, like I mentioned before, this is not children's.
It's kind of
Show.
it's kind of triggery. So be
Yeah,
forewarned.
there's an intense amount of blood. in
There's
some of the
still a
scenes.
lot of decapitation and limbs going flying.
Yeah, they're puppets, but it still can be kind of
Shocking.
trigger warnery. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. All we have on production. Do you guys want to go into the ratings?
Yeah, I was about to say, what else can you really be said about this?
Yeah, because we did the camera work, most of the stuff,
Yeah.
at the very beginning.
Yeah.
I mean,
accidentally, but
it's a character, it's a great aspect of storytelling. It was
Yeah,
utilized
it
really
is.
well. I mean, just what a tight package this season.
Mm.
I agree.
mm-hmm.
So then, let's go into our ratings.
I
I'm gonna say Zach starts first because he's our guest, and I like throwing him under the bus.
yeah,
I
you do.
fucking hate you. I thought the Gus should have the honors of being last, but I'll give it a love it. And
Oh,
I feel I can't remember if I gave it a love it to the previous season or not. I might have liked it.
I think you liked it.
Yeah, but I feel like this show is definitely a step up in a lot of regards to the previous season. I think it's tighter. I think having the characters out in the open, more focus on some of the more interesting characters per season. The new cast is also interesting. I think, and I'm a fan of Gen Urobuchi, unlike Dom. So I like seeing some of his writing flares, and I like that he's poking fun of himself. I think he's now gotten to a point where he's a little self-aware in certain regards of his writing. Certain regards, some of his trappings are still there. Some of his worst parts of his writing, but overall, it's like to see more of the man in the writing because I come to shows for that some of that stuff. That first season just felt more like a crazy Wusha puppet show, and this
Yeah.
is still a crazy Wusha puppet show, but I could definitely see more of the man, the writing, the person who I came to the show in the first place for. And so
Yeah.
it steps up everything in every regard.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Next we have John.
Ooh.
I can't remember what I rated the first season. I feel like there were some things about season 1 that I did prefer. I kind of preferred the grander scale of it, but I did still really enjoy this series as well. So I'm still enjoying it, and I'm still like hype for when they announce the season 3. I hope they announce the season 3 because they
did announce the season 3.
Yep.
Yes.
It just wasn't in the actual show. I think it came a little bit later, but yeah, they announced season 3.
Yeah, it's like this whole thing. That has a bunch of things building up to a season 3. So it would be a damn shame if they didn't follow through with it. So, I still really enjoyed it. Not sure if I want to give it a love it, but a very strong like it at least.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Craig.
Yo, so I passed this show in the fall 2018 season, and I put it on my end of the year highlight reel in some capacity, way, shape, or form. Yo, I was kind of thinking, do I like this show or do I love this show? And then I wound up watching 6 episodes of this show in preparation for the discussion. And I was like, motherfucker, I love this show. This show is a delight. It's improved its pacing. It's got flair. It's wushu as fuck. I mean, the characters are way more impressionable than season 1's, and we're getting not only are we getting a season 3, but are we getting a movie too? Another movie?
I believe I heard something about a movie just very recently. I haven't looked at like any information regarding that, but I did hear, don't quote me on that. Yeah. I did hear something about that at some point.
I mean, that Screaming Phoenix movie was pretty bad.
Really
it was. I really enjoyed it. I watched that before I started watching season 2. Like, I watched that and then started watching season 2 straight away afterwards.
Nice. Dom, have you watched that movie yet?
Not yet, actually. I really should.
Yeah.
But I guess part of it is because it's a movie and I can't sit down on the train with it. That I haven't really watched it, but I do need to watch it.
I mean, I think it's 40 minutes.
It's 2 halves
right?
of a movie. Well, I don't know of that, but it's definitely 2 halves. So there's like a halfway point you can get to and stop, and that's the Screaming Phoenix part. And then there's the back half is a different story.
Yeah, the first half is Screaming Phoenix, and the second half is like
it's
it's Shan Buhan being like a fake guy pretending to be Shan Buhan. Yep. And retelling the stories of the first season, but poorly,
embellishing on them.
Okay, then I guess I can watch it.
And then you see, then you see Long in the background like show up.
Yeah, it has a couple of bits that lead up to season 2 as well. In it.
Mm-hmm.
As for my own rating, I am also in the love it camp. This was one of the highlights of the beginning of my week because I made sure to watch almost every episode. Once I had started actually the series, I didn't start it immediately, but I started it, like a few episodes in. But once I got caught up, every episode that came out, I made sure to watch it on my morning commute that morning because I was like that excited for it. And every episode, like I would go up to Craig, like after work or something, like, Craig,
did you
watch
it?
The new Thunderbolt Fantasy?
I remember at a certain point I was sending screenshots and like captions, and I'm like, this motherfucker right here is so good.
So we had a lot of moments like that where we would bond over the second season, and generally it's a show that I had a lot of fun with, even though I'm not the biggest Gen Urobuchi fan. Like Zach said, I did enjoy him poking fun at his own little intricacies, but there was, and aside from the one thing that I will talk about in a little bit that I wasn't a big fan of, I was overall just having a lot of fun watching this show. So yeah, I'm totally giving it a love it.
Real quick, while we all love it, I would actually like to get Cass or Cammy's opinion. Like, I know who's to say if they'd ever watched this show, but I would actually genuinely like to know what their impressions of this season are versus the first one.
Yeah, Cassie was going to watch it, and then in order to, sort of free up a lot of her schedule, because she's on almost everything else, she had to take it off. So, and if she had watched it, I probably would have watched it again with her, just because I like it that much.
Yeah, it's just like I would love to know if she actually thought to see what would be better in her mind's eye versus.
Yeah, I know the thing that annoys me would also annoy her, but...
Yeah, I can get that.
Yeah. Well, and I also talked to her a bit about it before when she said she wasn't going to be on. And I told her, it's like, look, if you're not into the puppets, it's the crazy puppet shenanigans and crazy violent Wusha stuff.
Yeah.
If you weren't into that, there's more of that. And it's like, if that's not your thing, you're probably not going to change your mind.
Yeah. So, yeah, generally, if you weren't super big on the first season, then... It's not.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot has changed, I think, where...
Yeah.
It's just a lot of what made the first season, stand out a lot is now a lot better.
Yeah.
But if you weren't...
It's a bigger, tighter package.
Yeah, if you weren't originally sold on it, it's probably not going to change your mind.
No, I don't think so.
Real quick, before we go into spoiler rooms, what are we recommending?
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Shit!
I think I recommend...
That Kamen Rider Gaim show.
Did that last time too?
I mean,
that was back in the era where everybody had to recommend something.
Yeah. We don't have a one...
We don't have a parallel.
No.
Shit.
I recommend anime-adjacent media.
Anime-adjacent media.
Shin Godzilla.
Shin Godzilla.
You want to recommend Shin Godzilla?
Sure, if we're allowed to. It's look. It's directed by Anno. It even has the guy on Ava's music. I mean, it's basically anime.
Okay,
it's very anime adjacent media.
Okay. It's anime adjacent media. Shin Godzilla.
We've nailed it. Congratulations, guys.
Good job. Pat yourselves on the back.
Yeah. So as always, that is our review. If you want to find us on Twitter. Our Twitter link is twitter.com/AnnieChatbox. If you want to send us an email, we really like those. Cassie really likes those. You'll make her very happy if you send her an email. Our email is anniechatmail@gmail.com. And if you are listening to us on a certain platform, but we're wondering if we were on anything else, we are on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and YouTube. We recently updated our Patreon as well, our patreon.com/AnnieChatbox. We added a bunch of new extra bells and whistles to a lot of our tiers that I think people might be interested in taking advantage of, and it's not really that expensive. No. So if you want to help us out, improve the quality of the podcast with new things like mics and covers and stuff like that, definitely feel free to contribute to that.
Yeah.
Our current patrons are Sarah, CorpsyAnn, Carol, Suki, and Paul. So thank you to them. In addition, we both two of the people here, Zach and Craig, are regular hosts on the podcast Save Our Progress.
What's up?
You can find them at soundcloud.com/saveourprogress, where they talk about a variety of different things.
Yeah. Last time I talked about the experience of moving.
Yeah, and in an upcoming episode, we should be doing another anime movie night on. I don't know if I should say it right here on this podcast.
Make it an early reveal. You can.
Oh man, we're gonna be looking at the Fist of the North Star movie.
What?
Yeah, so
I want to be on that one.
I knew this would happen.
No, that you gotta understand. Me and Zach watched that together forever ago.
Did you watch
when we first
did you watch the dub?
We did. I don't remember, but I remember that was something we watched.
It's on Crunchyroll.
When we first started hanging out.
That's true.
I want to be on. I want to be on that one.
Well, we'll talk about it after.
I want to be on it. Anyways. So that's all, folks. We're going to be moving on to spoilers. So if you do not want... It's a very short spoiler room, but if you don't want to be spoiled on this show, I recommend leaving right now. So spoilers.
I don't want to spoil. This
Dice
isn't really a
roll,
spoiler or anything, but man,
Yeah.
I feel for that dragon. After a certain point, I know he's supposed to be evil, but everyone just kept like dunking on him, and then eventually, fucking the nihilistic monk, now turned Final Fantasy-esque villain, just said, "You know what? Fuck it, I'm killing you."
Yeah, that dragon did not have a good day.
No, he did not.
He just doing his thing, and then some people kept coming in and like cutting off his wings or
His
stabbing him in the head.
horn, stabbing him in the head.
Guys, come on. This is getting
He even
ridiculous.
gave him a point. It was like, you know what? The thing that I just killed is far tastier than humans. You can all fuck off, and I'll just turn a blind eye, and I'll just eat this
But-
thing that I just killed.
But
Okay?
But shoutouts to the fact that the Vape Wizard's son stops a baby dragon with his hand, flicks it away, and says, "Well, this wasn't what I was expecting." And then the King Death Dragon or whatever his name is comes in and just fucking mauls it, eats it, and then just blood just spews
good.
everywhere. And then
So
then he's
good.
like, "Well, that's what I was expecting."
Yes, that's more along the lines of what I was expecting.
Yep. But that's really all I had. Dom, what is your qualm?
Yeah. So, the poison girl, basically, she's a villain, and like her basically
Arc.
her whole arc is her trying to figure out what she wants to actually like do with herself, if she's actually okay with being a villain and following these shady, like
Orders.
this Evangelion room of people.
They really do look
You
like
know.
the Ava Room, don't they?
Yeah, they do basically.
Sound only.
And she's like, "Oh, yeah, am I okay with doing this, sort of thing?" And she starts to like, she meets the nihilistic monk and like learns all this stuff and starts to like actually think for herself and goes through an entire character thing. And then right as she's like, "Oh yeah, like I'm gonna be my own person, my own woman. I'm gonna go out and do my own shit." She dies like immediately after she gets her whole character development. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
And this is after she spends half her time in the show being manipulated by a talking sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
really,
it's
just
just
constantly being manipulated the entire time.
yeah, it's just a very like kind of unnecessary like end to her. Like there was no real reason for her to die other than to
Murder somebody.
Yeah, to give the main villain another person to kill. But so it just felt very unnecessary and just kind of fucked up to like the only actual like female character in the entire show.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there's like one other that pops up from the first season, but she's there for 5 seconds. So
Oh yeah, done.
It's kind of a bummer to think about all the new characters we got all died too.
that's true.
Yeah. Glasses
for-
cool.
Except for
Glasses.
Lana.
Yeah, except for Lan. But all the other new characters died.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, I mean, we never saw the nihilistic monk hit the bottom.
No. And okay, so like I saw. So let me get this straight. He grabbed the sword before it got pulled into the pin.
Yeah, and he got his arm severed the last second, and that's what gets pulled into the Sorcerer's Sword Index.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just his dead, decapitated arm that's in the index.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the nihilistic monk first appeared, I remember thinking, like, this monk looks so sinister. Is he going to turn into a villain later? And then episode 9
Look, I'm pretty
happened.
sure everybody who saw that guy didn't think he
Yeah.
was up to any sort of good. This
What's the
weird
purpose in
motherfucker who
living?
thinks life is pointless and everyone should probably die. I don't know.
But
about
man,
this
he-
guy. I'm not
Probably
sure.
not the best person.
But man,
I
he
love his
healed that
redesign
old
when he gets
man.
the sword, dude.
And then he came back later and murdered him.
Yeah, he tried.
I love when his hair comes on. Just
Red.
puts his hair down, lets his
Yeah.
hair go.
Mm.
Just ooh.
Again, like I was texting Dom. This Final Fantasy ass motherfucker right here. God damn
Yeah,
it.
he looks like an old like early era Final Fantasy like villain from like with like he looks like an Amano character basically.
Yeah.
Like, he was designed by Amano. It's really
know
funny. It's really great too.
One of the more interesting new characters also is because of talking type items. The 7 blasphemous death sword.
Yeah.
a very interesting aspect of the show, and also starts creating like a weird character conflict towards the end when she realized she bonded with someone who's so powerful that she may never
Leave.
be with another person and be stuck with them for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
She's like, oh man, this monk is way too cleany. I can't.
I'm afraid of commitment.
And how like it was. I found it really amusing how hearing her get so flustered and frustrated over how she didn't actually have any control over him.
Yep.
It's probably the first for her.
Mm.
Since usually she's able to manipulate and control whoever
And
wields her,
and then
basically.
this guy comes along,
Yeah.
and all she can do is like vaguely give him hints that he might follow.
Yeah, she had so much of an effect on him, it actually ended up
Backfiring.
being worse for... Yeah, backfiring.
Yeah, but to go back to what you were saying previously, Dom, that was kind of like shitty. Like, that was a shitty end, and it's kind of unfortunate that all the side characters outside of Long and Ling Ya kind of just wiped the slate clean.
Even the Justice Glasses guy, Zhao, kind of just ends in a very anticlimactic
Yeah,
way
right?
too.
Yeah.
He's done. He's hung from the tree. He's dead
Like,
now.
He does.
Like, I completely forgot about that subplot. Like, I remembered that he was like,
Because his whole thing was just about he wants to make money and smuggling these swords, and he gets dicked over by Lin Shui Ya. It was like, oh man, you sold the wrong swords to the wrong people.
and then I
You're fucked.
remember he got the shit beat out of him, but I just don't remember him dying. So like for him to just kind of run across like the monk and say, "Oh yeah, can you kill Shangbu Han for me?" And then he's like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna help me out," and then dies. I'm like, motherfucker. I mean, that guy would have he was a asshole, but still, he could have been cool for season 3. But
Yeah.
I mean, in the end, he was just a greedy
Motherfucker.
dude who was taking advantage of the justice system that he was working for
Yeah.
to satisfy his own wants and
to
desires.
be fair, though, I feel as though with the possibility of season 3 and the
I was going to ask about this.
so like I watched it and the reveal of Jing Hai, the demon lady from season 1, just coming out of nowhere and saying, "Yo,
Yeah.
let's form an alliance, Neon Genesis Cult Club," and
the Genesis
Neon
bugs
Genesis.
tablets.
I'm just like,
Cult.
so is season 3 just gonna go back to the end of the world bullshit where we're gonna have to fight a bunch of generals?
I mean, probably.
Probably, yeah. Hopefully it'll be a little tighter this time, but yeah, probably.
I mean, there's a bunch of interesting bug-themed tablets, so hopefully we'll get like a 5 deadly venoms, each with like different varying styles of characters, looks, and teaming up with all these interesting demon-esque
Yeah.
people. So at the very least, we could get like the tablet people are each like, because they each have like a different bugs on their tablets. So maybe they each represent a different style of fighting. At least we get something like
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Is that all we got for spoilers?
that.
Yeah.
Lin Shui Ya is great.
I mean,
He
Needs to smoke that pipe.
okay, let me try and get this. So he took just Glasses Kun's glasses, right?
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
And he was wearing them on the dock while fishing. So basically, was
Yep.
that just all a part of the whole ploy where he swapped the swords in with the boxes? Because he never wore those glasses ever again after that scene.
Yeah, he swapped the glasses.
That was
if I'm
just
correct. So he got
it showed him wearing it just so that we were clear. Oh, his illusions are
Yeah.
working on him again.
Oh, okay.
So he took just the light glasses and did the box switching for the swords. So he has the wrong swords to the wrong people.
So he was under an illusion, so he didn't see the box switching.
Oh, okay.
I love a good portion of Lin Shui Ya's character arc, though, this season, was him getting super frustrated that all of his tricks were not working. So he was just kind of like throwing little temper tantrums at
because
times.
like Glasses Kun was like, you know what? Fuck it. You know what? I don't need to be Justice. What about that? If you stick with me, kid, we'll be good villains. He's like, no, you're robbing my
This is
victory.
not what I want. This is
Yeah.
you ruined the fun for me.
Yeah, it was an interesting play because I mean, with the last season, he's, you know, playing everyone and getting exactly what he wants, the exact reactions that he wants. And here it's just like, either people know about his shit and they aren't falling for it, or he's just dealing with people who are so way out of his expectations that the things that he wants to happen don't happen. And he's like, what the fuck? It's pretty great.
Yeah.
It's an interesting twist because, you know, when you get a character that seems to be so good at tricking people, the only way you can really write them after that's kind of been exposed in a way that's compelling, at least, is to make it so that no one actually can fall for their shit or give them what they want. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it just gets kind of repetitive to have them keep tricking people and it actually working.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice that that was done that way.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
But yeah, that's all I got.
Likewise.
All right. What about you, John?
The only other note I've got here that is like not even really super spoiler, it's just a pet peeve. It's like there was one episode, admittedly it was short, but there's a fucking close up of the hairiest caterpillar ever, and I have a phobia of caterpillars, so
I'm learning something about John today.
Yeah.
so it just suddenly cuts this giant fucking hairy caterpillar, and I'm just freaked out. I was like, why?
It wasn't the mass amounts of blood, it was just the caterpillar.
blood.
It's just this little hairy caterpillar.
Fucking caterpillar.
Hey, it's a
Caterpillar
phobia.
warning.
I get you.
No, I get you.
It's okay. Cassie has a bee phobia. You have a caterpillar phobia.
A caterpillar.
We've all got our things. I'm afraid of clowns. Luckily, there are no clowns in Thunderbolt Fantasy.
Yeah.
And yet you want to...
Oh, season 3. One of the tablet boys is going to be a giant clown
That's what I was
ninja.
saying.
Oh,
And
then
yet you want
then I'm done.
Yet you want to go and watch It Chapter 1.
Well, I'm different in that sometimes I like to be freaked out. I like to have a,
I get you.
you know,
I get you.
I'm not complete. It's not like a I can't look at the screen kind of phobia. It's just I might have a nightmare tonight, or it might freak me out for a little bit afterwards.
I can get
kind
that.
of phobia. So, yeah,
And there you go.
we're all learning about each other. And with that, we bid you adieu, our wonderful guests.
Boy.
Bye-bye.
Roll the dice, roll the dice.
Roll the dice.